Welcome to Yoga Travels with Karen. I'm Karen, and today I'm going to take you through 5 poses that will help relieve, stretch, and strengthen your lower back. I'm going to take you through 2 phases of these 5 poses. So the first phase is really just to warm up the lower back and perhaps relieve some of that tension, and perhaps that's all you do for this session. If you'd like to take it a little bit further, you can follow me through the second stage or the second phase, and I'll take those 5 poses just a little bit deeper, and then that'll also help you strengthen through the lower back area and the core. Of course, we need that combination of the core, the lower back strengthening. We need to stretch out those hip flexors and, of course, the hamstrings to help all of that area stay pain-free. So if you're ready, come and join me on the mat and we'll get started. So first of all, to test how your lower back's feeling, we're going to come into a child's pose, and it may be a little bit uncomfortable, so just take your time finding your version of child pose. It may be with the knees together, or it may be with the knees separated, depending on what other things you've got going on in your body. So first of all, just coming down, just see how you go. Bring the hands out in front and just slowly lower down. And if your back is particularly tender at the moment, this might be really uncomfortable. But I want you to just use this as a gauge, and we're going to come back to the child's pose a couple of times and see how our back is feeling after a few stretches. So just relax into it, take a few breaths. Just feel that discomfort and sit with that discomfort and use the breath perhaps just to relax, just to breathe through it. We won't stay here too long. Good. Now coming up, we're going to come into our tabletop position. So bringing the knees underneath the hips, the hands underneath the shoulders. All right, and just maybe bring those wrists a little bit forward. So perhaps not even just a straight line, but a little bit of an angle there between the shoulders and the wrists. The knees are separated and the feet are hidden in behind the feet. So we're going to do some nice slow cat-cow poses here, and I'm just going to provide a tiny little variation here for you. So first of all, a big breath in with a nice neutral back, pulling that belly button back to spine. Inhale. And as you exhale, just tuck that tailbone down, chin towards the chest, pushing up through the arms. And whilst you're here, perhaps just lean back a touch, just a little bit through the hips. Maybe you feel a bit more of a release through the back. And as you inhale, let's tilt that tailbone up. Allow that belly really to fall down, tilting the tailbone up. Now don't collapse through the arms, lifting up. Keep that gaze down. That way we're not putting any extra pressure on the neck or through the spine. That's it. Now exhale, tuck that tailbone down under, chin to the chest, and just pushing back just a touch, very gently. Again, maybe you just feel that extra little release through the lower back, through the hips. Good, coming back, tilt that tailbone up. Belly coming down, just let it all hang down. Looking down between the hands and lift up through the chest, not collapsing through those arms. Good, let's go again. Exhale, tilt the tailbone, or tuck the tailbone rather, chin to the chest. And as you inhale, drop the belly, tailbone up, gaze down. Good, let's do one more. Tuck that tailbone under, chin to the chest, lifting up, an active stretch. And lower that belly down. Tilt the tailbone up, lift up through the shoulders, not collapsing. Excellent. All right, just coming back to a neutral spine. We're going to tuck those toes and come back up into a downward dog, a nice easy downward dog. Very bent knees here, up high on the toes. The knees are super bent, pushing that chest back towards the thighs. Just keeping the gaze maybe between your feet. Just have a quick look actually up at your hands and separate those fingers, spread them out. Index fingers are in line with the sides of the mat. Now bringing that gaze through the legs to the back. Keep those knees nice and bent. Good strengthening here. Beautiful. Holding it here up high on the toes. Good, just a moment longer here. Good, now straightening through those legs a little and maybe just walking out the heels. Walk them out, nice and slow. Good, now just pressing both heels back. We're going to come high on the toes and we're going to step our left foot forward, stepping it forward. We're going to bring that knee down, untuck the toes. Just allow those hips to fall forward. Really need to open up that hip flexor here, opening up that hip flexor. Sometimes when we have a sore lower back, we then start to lean forward a little because it's hurting. We might be doing this a little, walking to protect that pain in the lower back. So what happens then is we tighten up through that hip flexors or through the hip flexors. So we really need to open those up as well. So let's just keep the hands nice and low. Allow that hip to open. You can cradle this front knee in your shoulder just a little bit to allow the weight of your chest to sit on that front leg. Really feel that opening up right through the front there. Just allow the breath to take you there. You can close your eyes if you'd like. Take a couple more breaths. If at any time you're experiencing pain, then please stop and just relax and find a comfortable position. In yoga, we don't want pain. If you have pain, a little bit of discomfort is okay, but we don't want pain. So if it's hurting too much, then just relax or take the stretch back a little. From here, let's swap over the legs. So coming up into a kneeling position quickly and swapping over the leg coming forward. Now again, just cradling that knee, perhaps in your shoulder here, really allowing the body to be heavy. This time opening up that left hip flexor, really allowing that hip flexor to open. The other hip is maybe coming back just a touch, cradling, holding, breathing, and close your eyes if that helps. Good, just a couple of more breaths, really opening up those hip flexors to allow you to stand up nice and straight. Beautiful. Good. Let's bring that foot back. We're going to come down and we're going to lie down on our back. We're going to do some twists here. So nice and easy. Just find a nice comfortable position. Bring those arms out into a T position, or you can have them up in cactus arms if if space is a bit of an issue for you. I'm going to bring those knees in. We're going to take an inhale. And as you exhale, drop those knees down to one side. Nice and slow. Try and keep those shoulders down. That's really the aim here, is to keep both of those shoulders down. And it doesn't matter if your knees are floating a little bit. If you find that is very difficult to bring those knees down, by all means place a block, a pillow, a rolled up mat, anything underneath those knees, just to give you some support, to allow you to relax. Looking in the opposite direction. Good. Let's bring the head back to center. Now, when the lower back is a little bit tender, you might need to give the legs a little bit of a hand. So let's use the breath. We'll take an inhale here. And as you exhale, press down with the arms to help lift those legs up back to the center. And slowly let them roll down to the other side. And let's work on keeping those shoulders down. Bring the arm out. Might be out in a T or in the cactus arms, whatever suits. Relaxing through the hips and the thighs. Closing the eyes, looking in the opposite direction or facing the opposite direction. Beautiful. Just take a few breaths. With each breath, allow the lower back to relax a little further. And allows the hips and the thighs, all that whole middle body area, relax using the breath. Good. Bring the head back to center. Let's get those arms ready to help with the legs. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, pressing down with the arms to help lift those legs. Beautiful. Bring the feet down. Good. Now we're going to thread the needle, a nice easy one. And this one is a great one to do while you're sitting down on a chair as well. So it's when your lower back's hurting a little, this is a brilliant one to do in the office, at home, anywhere if you're sitting on a chair or if you've got the space to lie down. Let's cross the leg over. Place the left ankle on top of the right knee. We're going to flex that foot, helps protect our knee. We're going to lift up that bottom leg. That foot doesn't necessarily need to be flexed. Now those hands are going to thread through in behind the thigh, if that's where you can reach, or if you can reach a little further around the shin. And then relax the head back down. Maybe just tuck that chin towards the chest. We don't want the chin up, so we're creating extra pressure on the spine. Just feel that difference. And if that means bringing your hands in behind the thigh instead of around the shin, then just do that. Be kind to the body. Let that ego go. We don't need to do every advanced pose of every pose there is. And just relax into it. A little bit of pressure on the hands to pull that leg in towards the body. Keep that top foot flexed. Beautiful. Some nice slow breaths. Feeling that release. So what this thread the needle is doing is releasing through the buttocks, releasing through the piriformis, and that then releases the tension holding on to the lower back. So like the hip flexors, there we're releasing those, we're opening up the hip flexors to release from the front side of our body, and then thread the needle to open up from the back side. Good. Let's swap it over. Bring the feet down first of all. Straighten up the body, opposite ankle onto the knee. Flex that foot, lifting up. Thread those hands in behind the thighs or around the shins. And bringing that head down. Tuck the chin towards the chest. Good. Little bit of pressure on those hands to bring that leg towards the body. You should really feel a nice release here through the buttocks, through that piriformis muscle. Excellent. A few more breaths here. Feel free to close the eyes. Relax the jaw as well, not clenching the teeth. Relaxing the eye around the eyes. We're carrying tension in the face that can transfer all the way through the body. So if we relax the face, relax through the body. Excellent. All right, let's release down, bring that foot down. And now we're going to roll over, coming back up, and we're coming into our child pose again. And I want you to feel the difference. If there is a difference, let's hope that there is. There should have been a nice release through the lower back with those different poses. So again, find your version of child pose. Perhaps do the same one as you did at the start though, so you can feel the difference. So coming forward if your knees were together, or otherwise separate the knees and allow the chest to fall through the body or through between the legs. Now let's bring that head down. See if you can feel a nice release. Perhaps this is now a lot easier than at the start. Good, so let's come up. So this may be all that you need for today. So if you feel like your lower back is nicely relieved, then just leave it at that. If you feel like you'd like to take the stretches a little bit further, join me for this next half of the class and I'll just extend those stretches, provide you with slight variations just to give them a little bit more oomph, I suppose, and really maybe start to strengthen a little bit more as well. Beautiful. Good. So let's come into our cat-cow pose. First of all, our tabletop. Knees are separated, feet are hidden in behind, hands are forward, just a touch of those elbows, of the shoulders. Nice straight lines. So take a nice big breath in. And as you exhale, tuck that tailbone under. Good, just quickly one round of the same as what we did before. Allow that belly to fall down, tilt that tailbone up as you inhale. Just looking forward. Good, coming back. Tuck that tailbone down. Now, we're going to really push backwards this time, allowing the body, not coming all the way down into our child pose, but just pushing down now. Just see if you can feel perhaps a little bit more release in that lower back area. It's still strengthening here. It's a little bit of pressure on the hands, almost gripping to keep that body, a bit of resistance there from allowing the hips to come all the way down. Good, let's come back up and now tilt that tailbone upwards. Allow that belly to drop. That gaze is forward. Beautiful, pushing up through the shoulders. And now I want you to just to allow the shoulders to come down and press up. See if you can feel that difference. Let's come down and press up. Good, really allow that belly to fall down. One more time, let's push it, allow the shoulders to come down, or the shoulders to come up really, and the chest to come down, and really strengthen, push up as far as you can go. Keep looking down between the hands or just in front. Good, let's tuck that tailbone under, push up through the arms, and let's come back a touch. Good, feel that release through that lower back. Maybe just wagging the tail just a touch, a little bit right and a little bit left. You might find that there's a bit of tension on one side or the other. Let's go back and forth a couple of times. Good, and coming back to center. Now let's allow that tailbone to tilt up. We'll do this one more time. Belly coming down. Allow the chest to fall down between the shoulders, between the arms. And now here we go. Press up nice and high. Gaze is just a little bit forward of the hands, but still not wanting to bring up the head too far. That's it. Allow the chest to fall down. And press up, really press those hands down nice and evenly on the palms or the fingers. That's it, pressing up, tailbone tilting upwards. Last time, allow the chest to come down. And lifting up. Lift up through those arms, strengthening through the arms, through the shoulders. Creating a nice tilt. All right, tuck that tailbone just to a nice neutral spine. And let's just do a few little tail wags here, just looking left and right, just releasing through that lower back a little further. Good. Coming back, we're going to come into our downward dog now. We're going to just, there's not a lot of variation on this downward dog, but we'll make it a little bit stronger. So let's go. Press those, stretch those hands out in front of you, spread out the fingers and just have a look where that index finger is and line it up with the sides of the mat. Good. Now lifting those hips and pushing up. That's it. So let's bend the knees first of all, bring that chest back towards the thighs and then bring those heels down. Now just concentrate here on your shoulders and on the armpits and the insides of your elbows, rolling them down so it's flattening out, opening up those shoulder blades. Insides of the elbows are facing each other. Good. So maybe walk through those feet, walking through the heels. It's nice and slowly. Good. Then come up high on the toes. Bring that chest back through towards the knees, looking back between the feet or towards the legs, and then push both heels down. It doesn't matter if the legs are still a little bit bent. Downward dog is such a beautiful pose for strengthening, for stretching, for relieving pain. It might feel a little painful or a little bit of discomfort right now, but it will feel better afterwards. Such a great all-round pose, not just physically, but mentally as well. Good, just a few more breaths here. Feel that strength in the arms. Opening up those hamstrings, maybe straightening through the legs a little bit more. Heels coming down a bit further. Good, come up high on the toes and drop the knees. And we're going to just sit back for a moment. And now we're going to come back into our lunges to open up those hip flexors. So we're going to come up into a high lunge. You can choose here, you can stay in the low lunge if you would like to. So coming up onto our knees, we're going to step that right foot forward first, bringing the hands either side of that front foot. Now just allow that hip to come forward. Remember how we did this before with the low lunge? You're going to take it that one little step further here. We're going to tuck the back toes and lift the knee. So we create a lot more strength, a lot more power here, but a little bit more opening through that hip flexor as well. So see how you go. Remember that chest can just relax onto that front leg here. This is about the hip flexor here. We're getting a little bit of hamstring stretch as well, but it's mostly the hip flexor. If your right foot's forward, then it's the left hip flexor. So just keep the gaze down. Maybe a little bend in that back knee you might find, or just have a play with it even, just changing that, straightening and bending a little bit through that leg, maybe even pushing the heel back a touch. See what changes in the stretch and what feels the juiciest of what you feel you need right now. Good, just a couple more breaths here. Even though we've got our hands supporting us at the front, still quite a strong pose. Good opener. Excellent. Let's bring that knee down, untuck the toes and step it back and just see how that feels. Do you feel a difference now in the left and the right side? Let's go the other side, left foot forward now. Find your hands either side of that front foot nice and even. Now allow that hip to open up. Now tuck the back toes, lift that knee. Beautiful. Excellent. Again, just have that little play, maybe a little bend in the knee, straightening, or maybe just rolling back through that heel a touch. See what works for you. Most likely it'll be different on this side. Could be easier, could be a little tighter. Quite common for us to have different abilities on different sides. Sometimes it's the opposite side to where perhaps some of the pain is, because we refer and we make adjustments to our body to compensate. Keeping that nice and open. All right, one more breath here. Good, and let's bring that the knee down, untuck the toe, and stepping back. And now feel, is there a little bit more balance on either side? See how you feel. Perfect. Okay, we're going to come down now and do our twists again lying on our back. So finding a supine position, helping yourself down onto your back. Good. Let's bring those knees in. Give them a hug first. Interlace the fingers around the shin. Bring the nose up to the knees. Good. A nice little squeeze. Feel any release again through the lower back. All right. Bring the arms into a T position, or otherwise the cactus arms, whichever suits you best. And we're going to bring the feet down first. We're going to cross our right leg over our left. We're going to bring the knees up. And we're going to bring the knees down to the right-hand side. So the right leg should be the one closest to your face now, the right knee. So bringing that right knee down, or both knees down to the side, it's a lot stronger than our other twists. So if you find this is just too much, then by all means just release the cross and bring both knees down as we did before. You may find that you can't bring the knees all the way down with this variation. The goal is still to keep both shoulders down, not to bring the knees down necessarily. So just looking in the opposite direction. Nice and slow. You may find that you can't bring your knees down all the way, and that's perfectly fine. Just use the breath, a bit of strength in the arms to guide the legs. Good. Let's just take one more breath. Good, and coming back to center. And let's bring those feet down, and again just see if there's any difference here. I can feel a lightness in the right hand side of my back. Perhaps you can, or maybe it's on the other side. We all feel things differently. All right, let's cross the other way. Left leg over the right leg now. Lift up those legs a little. And let's slowly bring them down to the side, looking in the opposite direction. And again, just guiding, helping those knees come down, but keeping the shoulders down. Use the breath. If it's too much, come back to the straight knees. Couple more breaths. Good. Come back to center, nice and slow. Excellent. Release that leg and just have a little feel of how you feel. Good. Let's thread the needle. Right leg coming over the left, coming onto the left, I should say, ankle on the knee, flex that top foot, reaching those hands behind the shin, behind the thigh or around the shin, bringing that head down, chin tucked a little towards the chest. Good. Now from here, we can stay here or just move that leg out towards the left-hand side a little. So if you see your foot up the top, whichever foot's at the top, maybe you crossed in the opposite direction, that's okay. Whichever foot is in front of your face at the moment, push as though you're pushing towards a wall there, just gently, and see how that changes that stretch through the buttocks, through the piriformis. Don't go too far, it's just a touch. Take a few breaths. Feel that exhale, release. Releasing tension. Good, one more breath. Just allow it to gently come to the side. Maybe you can move those legs a little further as the stretch opens up or the muscle opens up. Good, and coming back to center. Let's bring those feet down. Give them just a moment's rest. Feel the difference in your lower back area maybe. Left ankle now on the right knee or the other way, depending on what you did before. Flex that foot. Bottom leg doesn't need to be flexed. Bring the hands in behind the thigh or around the shin. Again, tuck that chin a little towards the chest. And slowly, that flexed foot, press it to the side. As though you're pressing and pushing a wall away, nice and slow. Use the breath, especially the exhales. to release. Release pressure, release tension. Good, just a couple more breaths. Slowly pushing that wall away with that foot. Last breath. Good, and slowly unravel the legs. Just stretch them out for just one moment. Ooh, opening up. Nice big deep breath in. Let it all out. Good. Now to finish up, I'd like to come into that child pose again. To get there, let's just roll onto our side. One way to protect our lower back. When we're lying down, we often just want to push straight up, and if our core's not strong, that can put strain on the lower back. So rolling to the side and helping yourself come into your seated position is good. So let's come into that child pose one last time. And really observe how you feel now, how that lower back feels. Is it feeling a little bit more released now? I hope so. Let's see how we go. So finding your version, whether it's knees together or knees separated. Coming down, bringing that head down towards the mat. You can bring your arms alongside the body if you have your knees together. It's a little bit more tricky to do that when the knees are separated. Allow those shoulders to drape over the legs. Take a few nice slow breaths here. Good. And just coming back to a seated position or up on the knees. You can do any of those 5 poses individually, or you can do that first phase, or you can do both phases, or maybe just the second phase, depending on how you're feeling. They'll also help, even if you don't have any lower back pain, they'll certainly still help you strengthen and stretch through that lower back to prevent future lower back pain. Remember also to work on your abdominal muscles and strengthen those, and you can do those in lots of different ways, but be gentle, especially if your back is hurting. You don't want to put too much effort into that straight away. Beautiful. So thank you for sharing this practice with me, and we'll see you next time. Namaste.